So these are aftermarket tail lights, the cheap ones off eBay, like 60 bucks. All right. Tint in black. I got the RS spoiler on it, which technically is the most accurate thing about the car, because it has a black painted roof like a Z. But this is my 97 3800 5-speed Camaro. All right. I had big plans for this car. I bought it like 2 years ago. Started focusing on that car. Started to work on that car. This car was just a 3400 car. It's a 94, which really don't hurt my feelings. But couldn't get the broken head bolt out of the block. In the process of trying to do so, did a lot of damage. So she's parked back here, even though it has fully rebuilt rear brakes, like completely rebuilt. It has brand new Penhard bar, has brand new fuel pumps in the unit in it. Heads were machined, cleaned, ready to go. Everything was good. Never got that bolt out. So still looking for a 3.4 for this car. Once I get one, I'm gonna throw it in, get this thing on the road. This car has literally just been patch panels. Cut patch panels out for the 83 over there. Made a lot of money off this car for what it is. I mean, it was completely junked out, stripped. Trans Am. Technically, it's a Firebird. 305 5-speed car. My buddy's ex-wife's father bought the car, and they pulled the engine for their El Camino, and they pulled the transmission, the pedals for, and all that stuff that's needed to do a 5-speed swap on an auto car. Put it into a IROC, and this was just sitting there. So I got it and sold the doors, sold the T-tops, sold the wheels, sold the rear end, sold the spoiler. I think that's it. That's some miscellaneous plastic pieces. All right. So I've made a couple $100 on the car. All right. That's all fine and dandy, and also at the same time, it's getting its purpose. You know, it's serving a purpose. So it's patch panels upon patch panels. I don't care what you need. I don't care if you need this little piece right here. If you need the piece and you're around East Tennessee and you want to come pick it up, come cut it out, take it home. I originally wanted it for the parts to make money off of it, for one, and two, to have the patch panels for that car. I didn't know at the time how solid the car was. Once I got into it, got the carpet up, I realized someone's already done pans in the front. Not in the back, you see a surface rust, but in the front, which is all I was really needing. These other panels back here that I cut out, I could have easily just made those. I could have easily just patched that stuff up with just some random scrap metal, like off of one of the fenders. There's a fender that's over there that's completely ruined. So I could have easily used that. But it was convenient. Just cut out the exact piece I need, put it in the car, weld it in, and seal it up. So I guess what I'm going to do is cut it like right in here on both sides, and then like right here or something, and save the top. You know what? I really wish I would have realized this at the time, but I sold the T-tops out of this car because they wouldn't fit in that 83. And the only reason why they wouldn't fit is because this is a pin, those are hooks. So, wonder how hard it would be to swap it over. Because that car has a tarp on it right now because the T-top fell out. And no, I didn't bust the windshield. So if you go back like a year and a half, you probably seen the video where I'd like showed off that I rattle canned this entire car, and it looked really good. But now that's been sitting out here. You know, you can see right here where I just didn't prep it good enough. See here, there, right here, all right there, right there. I think that's it. I haven't noticed anything else. I kind of really need to get this car together, but the paint. Let's polish it up. We'll see how it looks. It looks pretty good still. It probably looks. Focus. Focus. It's probably not as shiny as it was, but I'm doing some custom door panels for a guy, and he wanted to use Rust-Oleum red. Right, this is the same paint that's on that Camaro. What? I told him to get some of this. He got it. So I'm curious how good 2K Clear is going to look on Rust-Oleum. We will see shortly. Hopefully. I need to get to work on those. So the reason that the 83 Camaro has been like literally just been sitting for a little bit now is mainly because of him. No, because I got another project. And no, it's not a red Jeep or a white S10. 84 D150. So here's the 318 out of it. So these two and these two are spun. I'm like, okay, used to small block Chevy stuff. I say, okay, $200 crank, $100, $150 for a good set of used rods or reconditioned rods. Because the cylinders look fantastic, and that is not a ridge. That is literally oil. There's no ridge. So, yeah, it is a 318. But when I bought the truck, it came with an extra engine. Took me a while to go get it because I had to load the cherry picker in the S10. Go down there, unload the cherry picker, load the engine, come down here, take the engine out of the truck without the cherry picker, go back and get the cherry picker. So here's the other 318. That dang rooster's annoying. But we started tearing it apart last night, and everything looked great until this. So I was like, yeah, cylinder walls look good. You know, I was thinking, you know, just clean this thing up, re-ring it, and put a cam in it, and then use the other heads, because the other heads were in better shape than these, obviously, and they're rusted ports. I was very wrong. So this thing dropped a valve, which busted the piston. I mean, what is a set of pistons, right? So I got two options. Either take the crank and rods out of this engine and put it in the other engine that just came out of the truck that has 4 spun rod bearings, and just move the pistons from the old rods to these rods, which it's all that stuff's the same. I'm going to measure everything just to double check, but it's all the same. 318s were like unchanged for so long. As far as I understand. Now, I am not a Mopar guy. So, any of the avid watchers of Uncle Tony's Garage or anybody that knows Mopar stuff, go ahead and school me down in the comments, because if you want to school me, I will gladly accept that knowledge, because I don't know crap about these motors. This is the first time fooling with the Dodge, really, this far into it anyways. So, but, or here's my second option. I didn't even get to the options. I do the whole rambling thing, but I can take the pistons out of the other engine, hone these cylinders, and use this block and bottom end, and the pistons out of the other engine, if they measure up. They got to measure up, of course. Just clean it, re-ring it, new bearings, new seals, clean it, really good. Put hot cam in it, not too hot, because it's all going to be stock. Use the other heads and intake and literally everything. The only thing I'll be using off this engine is crank rods and block. Everything else will be from the other engine. Because believe it or not, 4-spun bearings, that truck drove. I drove that truck. But I wanted to show you something else though. When I first started it, I took the radiator cap off and made sure it had coolant in it. Because I was told it had a rod knock or something, but I really wasn't too sure. But it took like a gallon to fill it up. Well, it came out of the oil filter. There was water in it, coolant in it. So we got bad crank, bad rods. Well, 4 bad rods, so half of them are bad. But we'll try to get this thing together. Put it back down in here, and I'm gonna paint the engine and everything, make it look decent. A lot of dirt in that cylinder and rust. Front bumper's smashed, the grill's smashed, the fenders are junk, the bedsides are rotted out, and the back bumper's twisted up so bad that the tailgate doesn't close, but the tailgate's in good shape, so at least we got some good parts. The mirrors almost fell off on the driver's side. But I'll show you how I got kind of like parts laid out. So if you're working on something for the first time, you can kind of get an idea of a good way to do it. So we got the valve covers with all the hardware, distributor with hardware. There's the crank pulley with bolts, push rods taped up. A lot of people will tell you that you have to put the push rods together and they have to be in order and everything like that. If you're reusing the lifters, because the lifters spin, right, on a flat tappet motor, they have to spin. If they don't spin, they stop for just a brief second, it's done. And I'll show you what that does here in just a second. But if you're changing your lifters, you really don't need to worry about them matching up to the rocker arm. Just make sure you put them in the correct way, because sometimes they only go in one way. But you see, I got distributor cap, plug wires there together, transmission hardware right there, exhaust bolts right there, spark plugs. Putting stuff in a container like this will draw a lot of moisture, and these were like brand new spark plugs, so I decided let's wrap them up in paper towels, so if there's any moisture, it's not going to soak into the ceramic or anything like that and cause any issues when we go to start it. How effective that is, I don't know. There's the good heads that we're going to reuse. I left the rocker shafts on the heads. I never even loosened them. The reason for that is I'm not changing any of that. That's all going to stay the same, so why take it apart that I don't need to take it apart? See what I'm saying? So yeah, we'll leave that alone. And then you see the water pump. It's got all the hardware and stuff in there, and then you got the alternator with the brackets. And the brackets are not laid out right, but all the bolts and everything's there, and I got a picture of how it goes. So very simple. Let's take a look at what happens when your lifter stops for 1 second. So here's a decent lifter, right? You can see in the reflection it does have a little bit of wear. right? I wouldn't reuse that. In comparison, here's a really bad, worn out one. See how dished it is? Yep. Then you gotta spin. But yeah, I didn't video any of this stuff, like, at all. And the main reason for that is I was trying to get it apart and see what I gotta do to fix it and get it running and get it on the street. Focused. Okay, annoying chicken. But I got focused and just completely ignored the fact that I was doing things that would probably be entertaining to somebody, maybe. So, and by the way, when your pan has the sump in the front versus in the back, the front is out of a car, towards the back is out of a truck. I did learn that about Mopar. But this thing sat in a field, and like, let's see, 8 years ago, my neighbor down the street got it, and I saw him driving it, and I was like, hey, what do you want for that truck? You know, obviously I didn't have the money for it. And then his little brother ended up with it, which is not much younger than me. He, let's see, he drove it up and down the street a lot, right? Because he lives all the way at the other end of the street. I live all the way up here. So he would drive it up and down the street, and then when he got his license, he let it sit there and run for about like half an hour or so, he said. And then he went to go to town. It died. It wouldn't start back, and he just parked it. They left it sitting there. They hauled it or towed it, or I don't know what they did, but they got it home without it running, parked it, and it was literally accumulating trash in the back of that. Still have not cleaned that out. Don't tell anybody. But I got it, fired it up, it ran and drove it over here and parked it and pulled the engine out, and here's where we're at. So if y'all are interested in anything to do with the 318 Dodge truck, anything to do with it, let me know down in the comments and we'll try to fulfill that for you. Thanks for watching. Awkward outros, I know.